Breaking news in our Sunrise Smart Start this morning, a woman shot inside a Rochester home overnight.
Just before midnight, Rochester police responding to Glendale Park for reports of shots fired. Officers found a 44-year-old woman who was shot in the lower body while inside the house. The house was hit multiple times by gunfire. 4 other people inside were not injured. The woman was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Happening today, the state's fight over redrawn congressional maps moves to the Court of Appeals, New York's highest court. A mid-level appeals court decided last week that Democrats illegally gerrymandered the newly drawn maps. The ruling has been appealed. The Court of Appeals is expected to make a decision as soon as this week.
Also happening today, the trial of the man charged with the attempted murder of Rochester police officer Denny Wright is due to begin. Police say Keith Williams stabbed Officer Wright in the face and lower body in 2019. Wright lost his eyesight in that incident. In developing news, Rochester police identifying the victim of Sunday night's homicide on West Main Street.
Officers say 32-year-old Omar Hewley was shot in the upper body and pronounced dead on scene. An investigation shows Hewley was involved in an altercation before he was shot and killed. No suspects are in custody.
A man shot and a school bus hit by gunfire on Clifford Avenue yesterday. Police say a 26-year-old man was shot just after 4 in the afternoon in Rochester. At the time of the shooting, a school bus was passing by and hit by gunfire. No students were on the bus and the driver was not injured. That 26-year-old was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
Persistent crime in Rochester puts added importance on the selection of a new city police chief, a process happening right now. Mayor Malik Evans says a plan for reducing violence includes hiring that chief.
We are searching. We have a core group of candidates that we're looking at. We are getting close to narrowing down on the individuals from the larger pool that we want to be able to come to Rochester to help us lead our city.
Groups like the Rochester Police Accountability Board are asking for a say in the selection. The mayor is handpicking an interview panel to help with screening, but no details have been announced on what it will consist of. At this time, applications are still under review.
Neighbors are calling for caution after a 4-year-old boy was hit and killed by a car on Columbia Avenue in Rochester. There have been no charges filed against that driver, and police emphasize this was not a hit and run. We spoke with neighbors who live on that stretch of road where the fatal crash took place. They're calling for better traffic control and for drivers to slow down.
It needs some speed bumps, it needs some stop signs, it needs some traffic lights, it needs everything.
They need to put the speed signs here, or maybe they even might need to put a stop sign, because when they're coming out of Edward to Columbia, sometimes they act like they're not going to stop.
And police have not released the identity of the child who was killed.
Timothy Granison, the estranged husband of former Rochester Mayor Lovely Warren, pleaded guilty to conspiracy distribution of cocaine yesterday. This is in relation to an arrest after a raid of their home on May 19th of 2021. Both were charged with criminal possession of a firearm, endangering the welfare of a child, and failure to secure a firearm. Well, a storm last night leaving hundreds around Monroe County without power. News 8 found downed trees across the area, including this footage from right near East Avenue and Hawthorne Street in Rochester. As of last check, about 140 RG&E customers were still without power this morning. James, I'm sure none of this news comes as a surprise to you. You called that storm, and the timing of it as well.
Right. I was thinking right after 7 o'clock, and I had mentioned it could potentially go severe, and that's exactly what happened. It did go severe. We had a couple of damage reports, a lot of them right in downtown Brighton. There was another damage report as well. As we pick up the pieces, temperatures in the 40s. Right now, light jacket worthy, I would say, for most, but we're not going to need the sunglasses today, as we've got mostly cloudy skies, but don't need the umbrella. I do think the rain showers are done. So far, we've hit 53 degrees, current temperatures in the low 50s. Number's not going to move much through this afternoon. Where we end up for the rest of the week to finish off the month, as well as a bus stop forecast at the end of the show. Mark?
James, thank you. Let's check the roads with our sunrise traffic. And an offshoot from all that rain last night, James, the off-ramp closed at this hour due to flooding on 490 East at Ames Street. That is exit 11. And there is construction 390 South between the Thruway exit 12 and exit 11 as well. So could be some slowing in that area.
Well, in Washington, immigration policy is dominating the conversation. Lawmakers are returning from a 2-week recess where they immediately got to work on what to do about Title 42.
Meanwhile, across the street at the Supreme Court, justices will hear oral arguments over the Biden administration's decision to end the Trump era's Remain in Mexico policy. Anna WROC is in Washington with the very latest.
Good morning. Well, today's Supreme Court case focuses on the Remain in Mexico policy. It comes at a critical time as the Biden administration is faced with a tough decision on how to handle Title 42. California Democratic Congressman Raul Ruiz says President Biden plans to press ahead on his plan to lift Title 42 on May 23rd.
Title 42 should be lifted and that we should focus on border management policy.
Ruiz and several members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus huddled with the president on Monday, urging the administration to stand by its promise to end the pandemic health policy that allows authorities to turn away migrants at the border in order to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
The Title 42 policy is a public health emergency policy that was instituted under the Trump administration during his hate and fear anti-immigrant agenda.
But during the meeting, a federal judge vowed to block the Biden administration from carrying through with its plan.
A country without a secure border is not a country.
House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy led a Republican delegation to Eagle Pass on Monday. He warns the number of migrants crossing the border will double overnight if the Biden administration decides to get rid of Title 42.
If it's unsustainable today, what will it look like a month from now?
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki defended the administration's immigration policies and says the president is only reacting to a problem he inherited.
The former president invested billions of dollars in a border wall that was never going to work or be effective instead of working towards comprehensive immigration reform.
And while Title 42 and the Remain in Mexico policy are two different policies based on different laws, some experts say the outcome of the Supreme Court case could influence what happens with Title 42. For now, in Washington, I'm Anna WROC. Back to you.
All right, Anna, thank you. Though the two programs are based on different laws, experts say the Supreme Court's ruling in Biden v. Texas may have implications for Title 42.
Now from around the state, a new Siena poll released showing New Yorkers' thoughts on Governor Kathy Hochul and key topics in the state budget. According to the poll, 44% of New Yorkers have a favorable view of Governor Hochul. 34% have an unfavorable view. Her overall job performance rating, 57% have a negative view compared to 36% who have a positive. And 52% of voters say the state is headed in the wrong direction. The majority of voters are unhappy with the state's use of $600 million for a new Bill Stadium. 63% disapprove. Voters overwhelmingly support the state suspending its gas tax. They also support recent amendments to bail reform and legalizing alcohol to go.
A New York State judge has found former President Donald Trump in contempt for not turning over documents after he was ordered to comply with a subpoena from the state attorney general's office. The state Supreme Court judge ordering President Trump to pay $10,000 a day until he is shown that he has complied with the AG's document demands. Attorney General Letitia James called that decision a major win, saying it's an example of how no one is above the law. Well, a family favorite activity is returning to Rochester this weekend. The annual kite flight will take place at Ontario Beach Park this Sunday, May 1st. It will feature expert kite flyers, kite making, kids activities, and street performers as well. The event will go from noon to 4 on Sunday. All right, here's what some folks will be talking about at the water cooler this morning. The Tampa Bay Lightning honored at the White House yesterday. Lightning winning back-to-back Stanley Cups in 2020 and 2021. The team one of just 8 over the last century in the NHL to win 2 Stanley Cups in a row. That's some rare territory right there. And a nice day in Washington, I might add.
Yeah.
President's got the aviators going there, James.
Yes, he does. Yeah, the blue skies there. I'm sure plenty of blue skies in Tampa as well. Both great places to visit, especially this time of year. Before it gets too hot, I think both locations also get a little bit toasty once you get into those summer months. Bus stop forecast here. Sunrise already happened about 40 minutes ago. Mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures start in the 50s and finish in the 50s as well. Then we drop from here down into the 30s tonight. That's going to make way for, a couple of rain and snow showers around Rochester. We'll just see them. They won't accumulate, but further south, higher elevations could potentially see some flakes fly. Then we go below freezing, and we've got a lot of cool mornings, but sunshine takes over Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Put a little bit of a cruise control to finish off the month. April going to be wrapping up on Friday and Saturday.
Crazy. Flew by. All right, James, thank you. And thank you so much for watching News 8 at Sunrise.
Our next update is coming up in 30 minutes. CBS Mornings is up next from New York. Have a great day.
Follow News 8 wherever you are on RochesterFirst.com, Facebook, Twitter, and on our app for news and weather.